Flavio, congratulations on this
Okay,
film that you've made, um,
thank you.
The Garden Left Behind. It really
Mhm.
is quite a moving, sweet little film. It is a little film, but it's a little film with a lot to say. It's very
Okay, thank you.
powerful in points. It's beautiful in some scenes, quite ugly in some other scenes as well. Just
Mhm.
firstly, can if you met somebody in an elevator who didn't know who you were, and you said that you were a filmmaker, and they said, "Oh, really? What's your film?" and you said it's The Garden Left Behind. If they asked you what it was about in an elevator with only a few floors to go, what would you tell somebody that the film was about? How would you describe it?
Actually, I try to be short with that type of question, no, because I always say that because I don't want to alienate people. I want more people to watch the film. So usually I say like, it's a story about a woman trying to move forward with her life. That's it. Because once you get in she's she's undocumented, she's a trans woman. I lose my audience, you know. And of course, this is different when you go to a film festival, because usually people who go to film festival, they are expecting stories that have social relevance, and but I'm not in an elevator. I want to be short and sweet and straight to the point. It's a story about a woman who's trying to move forward with her life.
Okay.
That's it.
What is your intention with the film?
Well, let me just start by saying that um, I became a filmmaker because I was attracted to the dream that I could make a difference in people's life. And every time I start a film, I ask myself the same question: what kind of social impact am I expecting my film to have? Now, I'm a gay man, I'm Latino, and I know what it means to be an outsider. So, and so today, I'm glad that I'm in a position to make an impact on that front, not only by telling stories that reflect my experience, but also telling stories of people who don't often see themselves on the biggest screen. And that's the reason why I made The Guy Left Behind. That's the reason why I make all my films. It's all about marginalized and overlooked members of our society.
What is the intended audience for this film?
I think the mainstream audience, because if the idea is to change hearts and minds, and I already have the LGBTQ community on my pocket, right? So I have to make a film that's not too much in the nose, that anyone can relate it with. Anyone watching this film can find something relatable in my characters, And again, the goal is to educate people, and so that next time they see a trans person, they see them as a human, and that's how what this film is about. It's um, anyone. I like to say that the film is about this trans. It's about a girl sitting in a bus next to you. Because anyone can relate to that. As she's going through financial, trying to find financial stability, she's trying to find love, and so anyone. And now you, me, anyone watching this film can now find something relatable. It's interesting because you asked this question because I went to the heartland of this country. Now I went to Arkansas. I went to Texas. I went to different places to screen my film, and I was amazed how many people and now white, cis, straight people came to watch the film, and it's incredible. And actually, I'm getting more support with the mainstream audience than the only than the gay community itself, because the gay community is still struggling, especially the gay white men, to see a film about trans women.
Tell
So
me
I'm getting
just very quickly. Tell me about the life the film has had so far.
uh, we went to about I would say 60 film festivals. I would say the vast majority of the festivals are mainstream festivals. Now we went to we premiered South by Southwest, Texas, Austin. Then we went to Cleveland. Then we went to Phoenix. Then we went to Florida Film Festival. Then we went to um, Bentonville, in Arkansas. So, and only after that, we start going to a few LGBT film festivals. We went again, this film, and now we didn't decide that way, just like by submitting the film. And again, I got a great reception from film festivals, and they liked the film, and they found it appropriate for the audience, and I'm happy about it because that's why I made this film. Again, it's a film that the message is the intention of the message is to change hearts and mind, and that's what we did with this film.
Can you tell me, just in a nutshell, the degree of research you did for this film?
Oh my goodness, this is it's just like this film is different than any other film I have made because I it's just like a documentary that before you actually start writing the story, I have to engage the community. Now I have to become a part, the a fabric of their lives. So only after that I felt comfortable enough to draw, those characters. And it's about learning, about listening and learning and challenge each other. That's how we made this film. And it took a long time because we found some challenges. For example, there are different voices in the trans community, and that was one of the challenges. And also because we had a lot of trans actors working with us who never acted before. So this was another challenge. But the research itself took a long time because, again, I want to make sure that I got it right. I had to have members of the trans community on the table with us. Why make the research? Why writing the story? And it took about a year for us to have a final draft ready to go.
Okay. Now, the film follows this character, Tina,
Yes.
who is in the process of wanting to transition. She's applied for the surgery to make it happen, and the
Yes.
film shows her going through that process and dealing with her personal life as well, including a touch of political activity as well. I've got to say it's a very well-rounded character, because we not only see the world through her eyes, but a lot of her preconceptions are also challenged, and she really does learn, I think, to have a broader mind about how other people perceive her and perceive the trans community.
Yeah, well, again, I was trying to find something that was different than anything that I have seen before. So when we are doing research, I was looking for, okay, is it a, let's try to find some patterns in on those interviews, something that we haven't seen before. So, for example, there is something that her resistance in trying to become an activist, because not every trans person have the same experience. And some of them are meant to be activists, some of them are not. And for Tina, as an immigrant, she finds resistance that is even inside of her own home. And she sees America, the definition of America, home, is different than her grandma. So I have the character at odds at home with her friends, with her doctor, and just so people could understand, their specific needs and struggles. They are all different, um, and then I try to, as a director, try to capture, you know, um, those moments, those little things that make the film unique.
Was it a struggle not to make this a political film? Because the stress is
Mhm.
the personal in this movie, which I think is um, a wonderful emphasis that you put on it. But Flavio, was it a struggle to keep it from becoming an overtly political film?
Is the question now that I have for you is like, is it possible to make a film about marginalized people that are not political? No,
Well, there's
and
political content in the film. Sorry,
I'm
go
sorry.
on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, because the film was not meant to be political. but I became just that, just by because she's Mexican, you know, and because she's a trans woman, and because she came when she was 5 years of age, and because of DACA, you know, became political. Not because we want to be to be political, and it's just because by nature, just by writing a story about this character, you know, and it became political. And this actually we start working this script before Donald Trump came, you know, became president. Before they said he said those horrible things about immigrants, about Mexicans, about trans, and it was way before. So again, but a lot of people ask me the same question. It was, what's the intention? Is it political, you know? And it's not, but it doesn't matter what story I write. When you talk about the marginalized people, and you always have that angle.
Now, there's a very strong theme in the film of sexual denial. Can you just speak to that for a moment? Because I found it very interesting. You have characters in the film who feel a certain way but don't want it known, or they suppress it. It's a very
Yeah.
powerful sub theme you have in the film.
No, thank you. You know, uh, that's the question that everyone actually became one of the first or second question people have on the Q and A's at festivals. Um, I I like the things that are not said as much as the things that are said, the things that are, you know, told, you know, because if everything is said, so there is nothing else for you to be engaged with. The idea of this film, the intention of this film, is to spark a debate, to show how vulnerable those lives are. You know, whether she's undocumented or trans, you know, and there are so many other issues that makes her, you know, her very vulnerable in the Bronx, you know, and um, so talk about the character Chris, you know, who is struggling, you know, and some people think that he's struggling with his gender identity, his own gender identity, but some people think that he was in love with her but could not express it because of the peer pressure, you know, because he grew up in this very toxic masculinity. Um, so it's again, it's just um, I, I I like to people to be in have those questions after they watch the film. And now it's not actually my intention to actually talk about the root cause of the problem, you know, um, uh, but it's more like present the situation and let my audience to come up with their own conclusions. Is That's how actually I like to make films, you know, just to confuse people even more, you know, because actually you can actually find um, um, things to support whatever point you have in the film because you had so many other things now. You know, for example, microaggression. We have microaggression in the film when he threw the cell phone against the wall because he could not talk, get hold of Tina, or when he was masturbating, when he was shaving his head. Now, so when he was actually following her, but I didn't pursue that, you know. And so there are many things that we had in the film just to not to confuse, but I want my audience to think, you know, and to have those questions.
This film, for all its sincerity and for all its messages and for all the research you put in, was not going to work without a really strong and engaging lead performance. Carlie
Mhm.
Guevara, I understand, auditioned for the film, um,
Yeah.
and this is her first film. Can you tell me a little
Yes.
bit about how many people you auditioned for the role and what it was like directing her?
Well, we had about 200 people who came for the, you know, for the part, you know, and then after that, all those people who didn't make the cut, you know, for, you know, Tina, you know, then we moved them to other parts, you know, the ones that we liked, you know. But it was a challenge actually finding trans actors, you know, but it was not impossible, and we found them. And so I'm glad that I did it because the best script in the world is nothing if you don't have the right actors helping you to bring it to life. So I'm so glad that I did it, you know, and I'm glad that Kristen Parker, who is my producer, who pushed me to do it because it's sometimes very easy to actually take the other directions, you know, which is like, oh, let's get this. straight or cis white men to play the part, So what we did was we went to every trans organization and asked them to send whoever whoever they want now they knew to come to have a shot, an audition, and that's how we found everyone, and so people, those organizations, they mobilized, and they called all the friends, and they posted on social media, and we have about almost 200 people who came to read a few lines for the film, and then that's how we found Carlie, and we actually just spoke with her like early today. Now I'm so glad that she said yes, because she was the right person to play the part,
It's a
and
terrific
and
performance.
so
It really is.
yeah, she was incredible. It's nature. She had never acted before. And she knew exactly how to access emotions. She had everything I was looking for in my Tina. And so that's how I found her. And also I found the other, Tamara Williams, her best friend, the girls that are always with her. That's how I found them. And yeah, it was an incredible experience.
Now, Flavio, you are very aware of the diversity issue, and you have gone to admirable amount of effort to have trans representation on both sides of the camera in this film. So,
Mhm.
you are a very diversity aware film director.
Mhm.
Having said that,
Thank you. Mhm.
two of the big draw cards for this film, and two of the most important bits of casting you've done for this film, are Michael Madsen and Ed Asner. I want to
Yeah.
know from you what they are intended to represent in the film. I've got an idea about what you're trying to say, but I want to hear from you first. What was
Um,
important about the casting of those two people, those two actors?
okay, there are many reasons. One is that, let's face it, they bring value to the picture, and it's always good to have their validation, and by being associated to Mike Madsen and Ed Asner is the guarantee that the film will be playing also in many other festivals. People actually would come to see the film because, okay, the Ed Asner is in this film, Michael Madsen, and they end up watching a trans film, which is beautiful. That's wonderful, but also I worked with Ed Asner before, and then so he was glad to come and work with me again, and we um, we were thrilled that they came to support the film. I just don't want, a star to play the lead like Carlie, because I think that part should be played by a trans person. But I was glad that they came to support the film. And Michael Madsen and Ed Asner, both of them, they are still fighting, for the film. They are on the right side of history, trying to make it right. And Ed Asner is a sweet pie. No one can be more liberal than Ed Asner. And both of them had been incredibly awesome and helpful in promoting the film.
Are you also saying with their casting that straight white men are actually quite comfortable and supportive of trans people? You seem to be challenging the idea that white men, straight white men, are somehow the enemy or that they are the other. In this film,
Well,
you have
yeah.
two major straight white men, two major straight white actors portrayed very sympathetically and supportively of trans people.
Yeah.
Flavia, was that your intention?
No, it actually was not, and because when I was looking for, I knew that we needed like some, like faces, like to help to bring value to the picture, and we were looking for, and initially we were looking for actually um, women to play those parts, not a bartender, but to play the doctor, just happened that it didn't work because of schedule, and it didn't work. And the Mike and the Ed Asner called me and said, I can do it. But we had some names that showed interest. It's interesting that a film like that, Jim, was I'm so happy. I'm thrilled to know that so many stars offered to work with us for peanuts.
Really?
Peanuts. Yeah, I'm so impressed, so happy because was not the agent said like I'm fighting for you. I'm gonna try to get the name so that because they knew the importance of this story. They know the message that we had for this film, and I'm so happy that we had some great names who said like, yes, I can play that part. It just didn't happen, didn't work with the schedule, and yeah. But I'm glad that Michael Madsen and Ed Asner turned out to be the ones, because they are um, now they just recently recorded a message supporting the film, the release of the film. So anyway, so yeah, but we had the other doctor. We had two women doctors on the other scenes. We had Bernadette quickly. She is also has done a lot of stuff, and she
Yes.
played the doctor. So we're very lucky that we had some great names, great people working with us. Yeah.
Flavio, without risking your standing in the film industry, are you able to just tell me some of the other names who made themselves available to the film? Are there other stars that made themselves?
Many, so many. Matt Broderick,
Yeah.
we almost had him. He was a name that um, we almost got him now, and yeah, we had also Cynthia Nixon. Just didn't work the schedule. And that she played the doctor. So, anyways, Cynthia Nixon would be great, but she was running for governor at that at the same time, of New York. So just didn't work with her schedule. And yeah, so we have other names. Just I don't know if I can say, but we have some other names that just didn't happen. But yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to give you what my response was to the casting of Ed Asner and Michael Madsen. I
Yes.
think that what you had there, whether or not it was intentional,
Mhm.
was I think you were reflecting something that's actually true, and that is that by and large, generally speaking, most normal, average, you know, straight thinking people, including men, have no problem with trans people. That if someone wants to live their life, that's their business. That most people are quite comfortable with trans people. That was the sense that I got from that casting. Flavio, is that the case? Do you believe that to be true?
I believe to be true when you talk about actors. Yes, but I think the mainstream America. I don't know about in Australia. I can't speak, you know, because I don't have the experience of living in Australia. Um, but in America, most people have not been exposed. So for them, for a lot of people, it's still a little a threat to them because it's just like dealing with something the unknown. When you deal with something that you don't know, the unknown, and then it's kind of a little creates the skepticism. Um, but for not for Hollywood, not for actors. Now, actors actually are looking for films that can highlight their careers. Because Michael Madsen and Ed Asner, they don't need the extra money we paid them. No, they didn't do that for the money. They did because they really care about the cause, and obviously for Michael Madsen, we have to make the point to him, But once we spoke with him, he was like, "No, let's do it. Now I want to help you guys." They sent me, and Ed Asner didn't have to ask because Ed Asner was calling me because he was excited, really excited after he read the script before actually I knew that he would play that before I made the offer to him. So yeah.
Okay.
And again, I was trying to make it more diverse. And then some people think also that someone told me the other day that oh, was it your intention to have a, a white cis man playing the doctor? Because at the end of the day, it's always the white man who makes decision, about something, that affects the lives of minorities. You know, is always getting the permission from the white man. And they said like, no, it was not. But a lot of people see that way.
Ah.
Um, I wish I was looking. I was trying to, I was considering, a person of color. I was, and was considering women to play that part. So I was everywhere. Again, just happened that our budget was, although we were paying very little, you still have to pay the expenses. Put in a hotel, first class, flights, and and then those are the things that stood in a way. But uh, yeah, but we try to we are very happy because we had so many people who said like, yes, I can do it.
As a director, you need to be commended for that casting, because what you appear to be doing is going against the demands of identity politics. The idea of having the doctor being played by an old white guy who is supportive is absolutely appropriate because it reflects a reality.
Yeah.
So I think that if you had gone with a PC friendly casting, it probably would not have worked as well. So I
Yeah,
think that you, whatever risk you think you might have taken, it works for the film.
well, but I also, talk about more specific about trans people, because we have to expand our thinking in terms of what certain characters could be, and I grew up in Brazil in the 80s, watching America movies, and the only thing I could see um, in the films as a Latino, um, was something that never reflected my experience. Was not me, and I was always misrepresented. So every time I saw Latino in a film, I was wondering how long it would take for him to be killed, and that one was the character was, you know a positive role model, because for the most part they are pimps, drug dealers, gangsters. Those are the things that I see myself in American movies playing in the 80s. And when you see a gay man, he's dying with AIDS, he's promiscuous, and it took a long time for Hollywood to get to this point now that they can, they're trying now to do a better job and trying to get it right. Because so when I started making this film, I was very concerned about make sure that I was not um, misrepresenting this community. Because there are so much social stigma, there are so much misunderstanding surrounding the transgender issues that I thought like I don't want to do a film that actually further this uh, stigma that actually only hurts the community. So that's why I spend a lot of time doing research because I want to get it right. And I just had one chance, and that goes not only for the trans community, that goes to every community that I work with. I'm trying to, you know, um, understand uh, their story from that perspective, and that's not easy, because sometimes it goes against what you think, but um, and that's the challenge because the film should not be about my limited experience. It should be about what I hear, and all those things has to challenge the way we perceive the world, because that's the only way to get it right.
Look at the film is very impressive. You have a very intimate style of shooting. What did you shoot on, and what style were you going for?
You know, every filmmaker actually, I like this idea that every scene I start with a close up, then I open it. because I want people to understand the microscope of that scene, like close up. Now and then we open so people can see the whole thing surrounding, now that subject, and so and also there are a lot of handheld in the film because I think I want people to feel the emotions that the actors are going through at that moment. So I think that the only way to achieve that is with handheld. That's how I see it. I think it makes more sense in a film like that. It might not work with other films, but it did work with the gala behind. It's very colorful, as you see, very colorful, and it has nothing to do with being a trans. It just has to be with the story because she's Mexican. Her apartment, the streets. This is Bronx, So I want to emphasize that, So um, Bronx is a big part of the film, the story, and I want it to be very colorful, day, night, and inside of the car, inside of her home, outside on the street, running. So this film has so many locations, as you see, there are 57 locations. This is insane, but it all makes sense, in a film like that,
And
So,
what were you shooting on?
oh, I shot with Alexa.
Okay,
Um, it was
Alexa.
my first time with Alexa. Yeah,
Okay, they're very popular cameras.
yeah, it's very popular now. It's very accessible. It became cheaper and cheaper. But my previous film was with Red. And so I'm glad that I shot with um, Alexa. And
Okay.
It makes sense for the film.
Okay. Now, Flavio, you are quite an innovator when it comes to funding films. I want to get
Mm-hmm.
onto your eBay experience in just a moment, but just firstly, broadly speaking, I'm very keen to get a lock on how this film was financed because there are a number of organisations that are credited at the beginning of the film. Now, in Australia, filmmakers do have access to apply to government funding bodies. We have some very good, wonderful government funding bodies in Australia that filmmakers can go to.
Mm-hmm.
Broadly speaking, that is not the case in America. If you're an independent filmmaker, by and large, you are on your own and need to raise the finances yourself. Can you
Yeah.
tell me, with you and this film, what the situation was with funding and what access you had to funds?
Um, well, as a filmmaker, we have to reinvent ourselves to be able to get our film funded. And but I I have done several Kickstarters in the past, and Indiegogo, but I just found that those uh, outlets, they are saturated with so many people asking for money. So again, as a filmmaker, I have to think outside the box, and to be able to survive. Now, at the end of the day, I have to tell my story, and where do I go to get the money? So there are two things I do. One is to get build partners. I get different foundations, organizations that stand behind the film. That's the first thing I do. When I have the script, I go different foundations that I know are associated with the film. For example, we got GLAD. We have different foundations donating money for the film because the film is about an important cause. So we got a lot of grants. So grants represents like one quarter of our budget, which is pretty big, right? And and then for crowdfunding, instead of using Kickstarter and Indiegogo, which I said was too many people using those um, places for money, I decided to do something, create something very unique, which is raising money on eBay. If you don't know eBay, I don't know if you have eBay in Australia. Do you have eBay in
Of,
Australia?
of course.
Oh, okay, didn't know that. But so instead of asking for money, which by the way, if I send an email to you asking for money for $5, you're gonna delete my email because you get so many, right? But if I ask you to donate something that's taking space in your closet, that's collecting dust, that you don't know what to do with it because you don't want to throw it out because there is some value, to it. You don't want to throw it out. You want to find the right person to give it to. So then you learn about our campaign. that's a good opportunity for you first to deduct that on taxes, because if you donate twice and you sell it, now the amount of money that you sell, you can actually um, deduct that on taxes because you donated it to our campaign. Now you can say, okay, I donate this camera to the gala behind eBay campaign, and they sold it for now $150, so you can deduct that on taxes. And the plus, you're gonna feel good because you are donating it to a cause that you believe. So in the beginning, our goal was $10,000. Then we raised very quickly. Then we moved to 25, then to 50, and then finally we said, okay, let's go 100, and we raised $104. Then we had to stop because we have to make the film, right? Then we decided to stop it. But something, my next film, I want to raise $1 million on eBay, and that's how easy it is. I mean, it's not easy. There are a lot of work involved. But once you learn how it operates, how it works, and it becomes pretty easy to raise money on eBay. And so we raised another one quarter of the film on eBay. Then we have tax credit, because we don't have money from the government, but we have tax credit. So whatever money you spend in a film, the government gives you 30% cash back. You know, so, and that's another um, big money, another big check we got, you know, which helped. Also, we got donations from I know private donors who donate money to us. We had sponsors. We had grants. Anyway, we have all kinds of things that we use different methodologies to raise money.
So,
It was
Flavio,
not simple,
yeah.
but we are very good with it.
Can you tell me what the budget was on this film?
Well, the budget my producer told me that was $500, but I don't believe him.
$500. I love it.
But we can't talk about the budget, because we have distributor. But
Okay.
yeah, I always tell people the same story. My producer told me that it was $500, but how come it was $500? We have those big stars in the film, and I don't believe it. But yeah, the budget was under $1 million.
Okay.
Another thing that I would like to say regarding the eBay campaign, we have a website. People can learn more about the campaign. Anyone interested to make a similar campaign, they can use the same type of template. They can go to, we have a website they call ebaymyfilm.com. Again, ebaymyfilm.com.
No problem.
And then people can go there. They can learn about how we made it. It's very, very simple. It sounds a little bit complicated, but it's not. In the beginning, it's gonna be a little, just like anything in life. In the beginning, it's gonna be a little crazy, but once you learn all the techniques, and it goes very fast. Just so you know, I had one person good in taking photos of the items. I have one person good in describe the items. I have one person good in packing the items and shipping it. So everyone became specialized in different areas. That what make the campaign very successful is because we became very good in doing it, and then again, but we as a filmmakers, we are very aggressive, as you can tell. Not only in raising money, but in everything we do, and we have a vision from the for even by selecting this type of stories we select, how we work with the community, how we raise money with grants, how we do crowdfunding, and we are very aggressive, and that makes a difference. Even like festivals, the film, all my films, they play in over 100 festivals, and because I also understand the importance of festivals, it's a part of the pressure cooker of making a film without distribution. Yes.
Just firstly, could you just broadly tell me what's it like being an independent filmmaker? What's life like for you? How do you actually make a living?
Well, I in America, as you know, no, they don't. There is no assistance from the government, But on the other hand, have a lot of grants, given to filmmakers, So usually, uh, I go to a lot of panels. That's one way to raise money. Also, I produce films, and I'm a PR. For different films, and I am the most aggressive filmmaker that you have ever met because I really mean it. And not me, only me, but my team, we are very aggressive in a way that we do a whole package, and not only working for us because I also produce other films, and how we reinvent ourselves to be able to survive in this business. So most of the money that we make, and now I have different foundations that actually are big, they are huge contributors of my work, so that I can continue doing films and but also I produce other films. I'm constantly in panels, and screening my films, getting screening fees, and yeah, that's
Okay.
how I survive as a filmmaker. Again, you have to, in order to survive this business, you have, because there is no money actually by selling a film, because most films don't make money, but you have to find other ways, to survive this business, at least so that you can keep making films.
Is it the case with you that inside you is a commercial filmmaker just waiting for a call from a big studio? What is your ambition? Do you want to stay as
Uh,
an independent filmmaker, or is your desire to just get out there and make a big commercial film?
I mean, listen, I know what I do. There is this, that's how I see this filmmaking industry. There is this huge hall. There are doors on this side, doors on the other side, left and right, and I run on this hall and I knock every door, and the first one that opens, I cross it, and that's how I actually deal with it. And I have had different, a few offers, not a lot, but I have few offers from studios to make a film, and that just didn't work for me. And um, but I feel most comfortable doing the work that I do because they all those stories that I tell, they inspire me, and the same way that when someone wants to hire me, even for another independent film, if that story is not in line with what I do, what I believe, I don't take it just for the money. And sometimes the money actually are very nice, and but I have to see it when I see my work as a director. I see that as like a marriage. You can't get in bad marriage because then it's gonna be um, it's it's gonna destroy. It's gonna be a bad experience. So I want to do things that I feel most passionate about. And telling you stories that inspire me, you know,
Okay.
is one of the things that takes me out of the bed every morning.
And Flavio, tell us, what is it like to be a 50-year-old gay man in America in 2020?
I feel like awesome. Actually, this is the best time of my life. I wished I had the wisdom that I had now that 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I think um, I don't know. I think life is really beautiful. This is the best time of my life. I have, for the first time, Jim, I when I look back, everything I have done in this business. Okay, I have almost 15 years working in the film business. For the first time, I can tell you that I have something to lose if I leave the business because based on everything I built, and everyone that I met, and how much um, pleasure I get out of this, you know, from my experience of doing what I do, every day. So this is the best time. I can't tell you, more than that, but it's just, uh, yeah. I'm 50, but I don't feel I'm 50.
Good on you, mate. Listen,
So
just
I think
again,
that
very quickly.
why,
Uh,
but you know why, Jim? But you know why? Just I'm sorry to cut you, but you know
so,
why? I have done a lot of things for money in the past. I was in politics for many years, and my experience in politics is that I went to politics because I really want to see things changing. And I really thought that I could make a difference. I could be, I know. Um, the one who would change things for better and affect people's life, for better. But I realized that there are a lot now that prevents me from doing things that I believe, and only I. It was in the film business, that I found a safe place that like here I can do it, and people would trust me. People give me. I have total control because we try to have control of most pieces, although it's very difficult to say that I do have it, but I do have more. I have better grasp as a filmmaker, and because I can see the change happen, in front of me. For example, making this film, I can see things happening, beautiful things happening. The impact of this film in a much larger, out there. People can see my film, and it just have an impact on people. And the politics is different. That's why I moved to a film.
Can you just tell me, just quickly, what your journey was from Brazil to America?
Oh my God, I'll need 3 hours for that.
No, well, I tell you what, 3 hours. Let's see if you can do it in 30 seconds.
Very quickly. I grew up in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. Then in 1988, I went to the Navy, to the Brazilian Navy. And after 6 years serving in the Navy, Brazilian Navy, I was found out to be a gay man. So I was thrown out of the Navy. I was in jail. Then now I was released. Then I wrote a book about my experience as a gay man in Brazil. Then after that, I came to America, and I was granted political asylum in 1997. And after I wrote the book, which is my asylum was based in political opinion and sexual orientation. And after that, I got an invitation to a scholarship from Columbia University, and to study political science. After I graduated, I went to work for Hillary Clinton, um, the former first wife. And then I worked for Anthony Weiner, the congressman. And after that, I went back to school to study film. And then I made a bunch of short films, and here I am with my first feature film as a director.
In an interview, I saw you wearing a Star Wars cap.
Yes.
Are you a
Yes.
pop culture nerd?
Not really. No, not really. I have about 300 hats.
Okay.
And then people send me hats from everywhere. And no, I'm not. Just like I think as a director, it goes with what I do, and
Okay.
my image.
So you're not a particular Star Wars fan or anything?
No, I'm not. I'm
Okay.
not. And the other day, yesterday, I was with a hat with it was Coca-Cola, and someone's like, "Why do you have this Coca-Cola?" Oh, Coca-Cola sent it to me, So why not? And,
Okay.
so yeah,
Yeah.
no, and almost every day I have different hats, but I prefer. Actually, I like this one better.
You got one of
Yes,
your actors who has long hair
yes,
to shave his head for the film.
yes.
Was that a measure of the actor's commitment to the film, or was it a measure of your powers of persuasion?
I think both, because I told him that's what I want for the character, and he just like, okay, I'm gonna let it grow. And the film was supposed to be shot a year before that, but my partner passed away, and then I had to put on hold my production for I was in therapy, for about almost a year. So his hair was getting longer and longer. Like I was perfect. That's awesome, but he was a little bit resistant um, to shave it like the way I want it to be shaved. Very short, because he thought in the beginning it was be like not that short. So when I told him no, I want it very very short, then he and yeah, but I told him the importance of for the film, the importance of doing it. But it goes also with my other things that I have done. For I had my previous film. Actually, it was about an elderly woman, and then I want to have. She was naked on set, and then I have to persuade her to that because most films don't show elderly person having sex. So it was not about exploiting her body, but to show that not older, you get old doesn't mean that you don't have sex. So I was trying to find something that's very unusual, very different, and Yeah, but it's a part of the job. You have to do things differently than others. You just can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. The film, there are different things in this film that I can speak with you for hours about that. But things that are completely outside the box. Things that are different that you haven't seen before. I was a little disappointed with because I always play at the Melbourne Queer Film Festival, and this year they didn't invite me, and I noticed that there are a lot of resistance in the LGBT Q film festivals. I found resistance at the Outfest, at the Frameline, all the major LGBT film festivals, for one single reason, because the death scene. No, and it was a challenge for me, just like it was a challenge for everyone involved to tell a story that at the end the main character dies. Because I think I am tired of seeing films where trans people die. So for me to make a film, you know, where the main character, the lead, dies, it was a difficult, but it was a necessary, thing to have, because after interviewed so many people, over interviewed over 100 trans women living in the Bronx, and the violence became part of was always present in those testimonies. So for me not to include it, and uh, on the film would be a disservice, no, and I don't think that I should be directing the film if I was not able to honor the material. So
Flavio, can you just
no,
clarify for us what you're saying? You're saying that you submitted The Garden Left Behind to the Melbourne Queer Film Festival and it was rejected?
yeah, no, okay. Obviously, we don't know, how the decision was made, But so just so you know, this film is a professional film that has been playing everywhere, South by Southwest winner. How come this film didn't get at Melbourne Queer Film Festival? Just so you know, there is again, I different than other festivals in America where I had the first, I had the um, uh, information, the reasons why they reject the film, and I fought back. No, I just can't say for sure why Melbourne Queer Film Festival rejected the film. But my message that I have for them is that I do understand why people decided not to screen the film. And I do understand, and I'm with them. Also, just like everyone, I want to see films that portray the, and show the trans community more positive, like in more uplifting situations. And I understand that, but sometimes shining is a light in a specific issue is a first step toward affecting change. You know, you cannot change, you know, the large picture if you're not willing, to talk about it. You know, and I can't say speak for now Australia, and I'm not trying to, but in America, people are killing dreams, especially for trans women of color. You know, now, last year, 27 trans women lost their lives, and most of them are trans women of color. You know, and obviously, someone who, for the most part, not obviously, but for the most part, someone who select the films, the trans people who watch the films, they live in different situations. But for those who live in the Bronx, live in New York, and now who happen to be a trans woman of color, now they are in more dangers than others. And for me, as a director, would be a disservice for not to include that reality, the ugly reality of their lives, and that's why I made the decision to have it. But I made the decision with trans people on the table with me, because I have to make sure that that was not just my intention to hurt the community. My intention was to tell a story that reflect the reality of those people. As much as I would like to have a different outcome, and I hope that I'll be the director that will tell a different story in the future. But that story, the God left behind, unfortunately, was a story, about a trans woman who uh, lost her life in the hands of hatred. And so I'm very sad, very disappointed that Melbourne Queer Film Festival didn't even bother to send me a letter to say why they reject the film. Don't even have to say, but at least like I'm rejecting your film. For someone who I have played at the Melbourne Queer Film Festival many times, and those are my friends, and I love them. And I felt um, I really felt I wouldn't say betrayed, but I don't have a reason to feel that way. But I'm I felt like out of place. That I felt that they silenced the those voices, the voice of the members of the trans community who want this story to be out there. And that's the only thing I have to say. I'm disappointed, but I also understand why they made that decision. But this is a film that actually won at a transgender film festival as the best film because the transgender community understands what I'm talking about.
Were you're talking about how being notified that the film was rejected? Were you told that the film was rejected? Were you notified that the film?
I never got the because usually I get a letter or an email saying that that's how the festivals work, and they send an email to you, either accepting your film or rejecting your film. I didn't even get an email from anybody, So again I was disappointed, but it was not only Melbourne Queer Film Festival. We had the same issues with the other major film festivals in the U.S. and Canada, But interesting enough, we have different reception in Europe. The film got the most prestigious, one of the most prestigious award, which is the Queer Scope in Germany, and for best film, and uh, and the film has been playing everywhere in Europe and the US as well. But the major LGBT film festivals they decide to team up and reject the film. But we fought back, just so you know, we fought back, and for the I may be the first time in history, uh, Frame Line, Inside Out, and Outfest, the three largest LGBT film festivals in North America, took the film. They decided to say okay, and after complaints from the trans community, they reversed that decision and took the film. I'm glad they did, no, but it was not without a fight.
Okay.
And now we have to make our point. And now again, and and I understand why they did it and then why they intended to reject the film, why they initially reject the film. But we really have to fight and to make sure that the voice of the tourism of color now was part of the conversation. Right. And that's why I made this film. Now I don't make the film because it's easy, and the goal again is to spark a debate and so people can understand how vulnerable those lives are. So I'm glad that they changed the decision, but I didn't have the same power at the Melbourne Queer Film Festival. I love them. I love those people. They're incredible. They have always been very supportive of my work. But I felt that I was silenced by not having my film playing at the Melbourne Queer Film Festival. What's behind this film? We have almost 50 people working in front and behind the camera. No other film would give that platform to the trans community or any other marginalized community. But we did. You know why? Because I do believe that by investing in the young trans filmmakers or any other marginalized community, by bringing them to the forefront of filmmaking, is the best way to give them the power of control their own stories. Now, I want them to be able to get to the director's chair, to be able to tell their own stories, And so this film was almost a lab, a place where people came and not only learn how not only work as actors, but also they learn how to become filmmakers. So my hope that some of them eventually will arrive to the director's chair, will be telling their own stories, and that's why we made this film, and I'm so proud of this film. And because of this film, also we create an organization. We help the trans community to create an organization they call Trans Filmmakers Project, you know, and the goal is to again to help members of the trans community um, um, to become the next generation of filmmakers.